Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles. We're going to talk about James Gunn taking aim at Marvel, at Disney, for putting out too many crappy movies. This is kind of wild, right? I mean, of course, he's batting for the other team now. But, DC, get your mind out of the gutter. But, yeah, he's taking aim at Marvel, saying that they definitely dug their own grave by putting out too much subpar content, and it actually destroyed Hollywood. The movie industry is dying, he said, because films are made without finished scripts, and Marvel got killed by output increase. So this is kind of wild to read. I'm hoping to God Superman's good, and that this isn't going to bite him in the butt in a couple of weeks. But we're going to read what he has to say, and give our opinions on that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out badorks.com. We got some orc pins out there. These orcs are bad. They're a-holes. No redeeming qualities whatsoever. So check it out, badorks.com. You have about 2 weeks to back these bad orcs. Thank you very much. So yeah, he had an interview in Rolling Stone, which this actually is the kind of interview I would have expected from Rolling Stone in the 90s or early 2000s. Lately, Rolling Stone has gotten weirdly political. Like, all their articles were not even remotely connected to music in any way. It used to be like, oh, we'll talk to directors, we'll talk to, actors who kind of cross over into, I call them like rock star adjacent. Does that make sense? Right? It was like, they were going to get people that were in, movies that appealed to maybe fans of rock and roll, or, the biographies, things like that. Edgy directors, that sort of thing. Lately, they've been going all in on the politics, just like straight up hard news and opinion. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't Rolling Stone, but you got to do what you got to do to make money now, because the whole internet's imploding. Thank you, Google AI, for that. But he had this interview, and Variety kind of weighs in on it here. But yeah, this is really fascinating to see. He's like, yeah, this is why movies are dying. Now, he might have a bit of an axe to grind with Disney anyway, because remember, they fired him and then they rehired him for Guardians 3, but they still did fire him for, if I remember correctly, dressing like a priest like 15 years ago or something, like 20 years ago, on Twitter, making a joke about underage stuff, and that got him fired. Anyway, let's look at this. Variety, James Gunn says the movie industry is dying because films are made without finished scripts, and Marvel got killed by output increase. That wasn't fair. I swear to God, the headlines are getting longer on all these articles. James Gunn has stressed from the minute he took over DC that no superhero movie under his watch would go into production without a complete script. This is something that Disney does often. They're like, we're so like, we have to get this movie on the schedule, that we make the announcement like 3, 4, 5 years out. Do we have a star? No. Do we have a script? No. But we know whatever movie number 2 is going to come out on this date, come hell or high water. And I think that is bad. That's a bad thing to do, because you don't know what's going to happen during the production. I swear to God, if they hadn't marked the date originally for Snow White, they might have walked that one back, because they're like, we got to make Snow White because we told the investors Snow White's coming. And now, because of that, they lost, a ton of money or whatever. And some of these Marvel movies never should have been greenlit to begin with. Let's be honest. He said in a new interview with Rolling Stone, the filmmaker attributed the so-called dying film industry to Hollywood's fatal mistake of always making blockbusters before their scripts are officially complete. This is a relatively new phenomenon, isn't it? I mean, by new, I mean maybe the last decade or two. It used to be that you would write the screenplay, they would do the rewrite. Sometimes they would rewrite on the fly. They'd rewrite dialogue for certain actors or whatever. But hey, the scene's not working. Could you get some? But this whole thing of like, let's just greenlight the movie, shoot pieces of it, and then fill in the blanks later. I mean, it's weird. I mean, this could also explain all the reshoots that all these movies are having too, because they didn't have the story locked down. So they're watching the movie and they're like, yeah, this is a piece of shit. We got to redo it. Now, actually, Superman supposedly had a bunch of reshoots, or they edited it or something, but I don't know. I do believe the reason why the movie industry is dying is not because of people not wanting to see movies. It's not because of home screens getting so good. The number one reason is because people are making movies without a finished screenplay. Gunn said that DC Studios recently killed a project because the script couldn't get to the right place, explaining everybody wanted to make the movie. It was greenlit, ready to go. The screenplay wasn't ready, and I couldn't do a movie where the screenplay is not good. And we've really been lucky so far because Supergirl's script was so fucking good off the bat. I hope so. I hope it is. And then Lanterns came in. The script was so fucking good. Clayface, same thing. I can't imagine. We're living in a world where we're going to have a Clayface movie. Isn't that wild? I hope it's like Batman the animated series, and it's just like completely over the top with body horror. Get Cronenberg. That would be pretty fun. So we have these scripts that we've been really lucky with, or wise in our choices, or whatever the combination is. Another thing Gunn said is that working in his favor is that there's no corporate mandate from Warner Brothers to churn out a certain number of film and television projects at DC. Yeah. So look, we've talked about this. You're actually better off in some cases not making that sequel, not making that reboot, because now it's anti-money. Not only have you lost money on that particular project, but you've damaged the brand, right? So in some ways, you're better off just not doing it at all. He noted that Disney's mandate to increase Marvel's output amid the launch of Disney Plus had a negative impact on the larger universe. Bob Iger has openly admitted to making this mistake. Yeah, they were like, oh, we're just going to crank out a bunch of content to pump up the subs, and that's what we're going to do. He said it wasn't fair, it wasn't right, it killed them. It killed them. He said Marvel, yeah, and look, the damage is already done. We talked about Fantastic Four. I saw an article yesterday. I didn't want to do another movie on Fantastic Four, but they're saying the box office is going to be pretty okay, but not great. The momentum is gone. Right? So, like, even Doomsday, I'm not feeling a lot of excitement around it. I'm not feeling a lot of excitement around Fantastic Four either. I mean, I could be wrong. It could wind up being this huge, huge deal, but I'm going to be honest. It does feel like more normies are excited about Superman than they are the Fantastic Four. But again, we're talking Superman, right? Everybody knows Superman. Most people don't know the Fantastic Four. Or if they do, they're like, oh yeah, they had that movie with the orange rock guy, and yeah, I didn't like it very much, or whatever. You know, that's the extent of it. Now, I don't know if either movie's gonna be any good, but he's not wrong. Marvel's momentum's been killed. He said we don't have the mandate, so we're gonna put out everything that we think is of the highest quality. We're obviously gonna do some good things and some not so good things, but hopefully, on average, everything will be as high quality as possible. Nothing goes before there's a screenplay that I personally am happy with. That is good. Actually, I like James Gunn movies quite a bit. I'm going to be honest. I did not go see The Suicide Squad in the theaters because I did not like the first one. So I waited about 3 or 4 months after it was on digital, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, I love this movie so much. Like, I love this movie so much. And Peacemaker, I love Peacemaker. And, but when they said James Gunn is going to do Superman, I'm like, what the hell? That makes no sense. Lobo, yeah, I could see something like Lobo. Could not see Superman, but the trailer, I'm cautiously optimistic. The second trailer especially got me. The only concern I have is there are an awful lot of characters. There are a lot of characters in this movie. And I'm like, is Superman going to get lost in his own movie? That's the concern I have. Because like Suicide Squad, Guardians, they were ensemble casts. Superman, a reboot Superman movie should not be an ensemble movie. It should be about Superman. And then you can bring the other characters in later. Just my opinion. Yeah, but I'm not in charge, obviously. Only one other movie in the new franchise has completed filming, and that's Supergirl. But the plan is to build out the universe on the big screen with movies about Batman, Brave and the Bold, and Wonder Woman. Batman's my biggest issue of all in DC right now. Personally, Gunn told Rolling Stone, and I'm not writing Batman, but I'm working with the writer of Batman trying to get it right because he's incredibly important to DC, as is Wonder Woman. So does that mean we're not getting a sequel to The Batman? Does that mean that they're just going to do James Gunn Batman? I don't know. So outside of the stuff I'm doing in the projects that are actively going, our two priorities are Wonder Woman and Batman. Batman has to have a reason for existing. So Batman can't just be, oh, we're making a Batman movie because Batman's the biggest character in all of Warner Brothers, which he is. but because there's a need for him in the DCU and a need that he's not exactly the same as Matt Reeves' Batman. He's not a campy Batman. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a funny, campy Batman. So that's good. I was kind of worried. I mean, again, James Gunn, Batman, how's that going to play out? Actually, what I'd like to see? I would like to see a Tim Burton adjacent Batman series on HBO. Just basically, I mean, it doesn't have to be Michael Keaton necessarily, but like that iteration of Batman, that aesthetic, and just make it a series on HBO. And because I'd like to see like what if we continued down the Tim Burton road with Batman, and like what would these other villains look like? What would Batman and Robin actually look like? And they did that in the I know they did it in the comics, but I would like to see it on the screen. That would be pretty fun. Somebody will do it with AI at some point. They'll do a fan movie with AI or something. Yeah, so he said every single Batman story has been told. Seems like half the comics that have come out of DC over the past 30 years have Batman in them. Yeah, he's the most famous superhero in the world and the most popular superhero in the world, and people love him because he's interesting, but also having so much of him, it can be boring. Yeah, that's just it. I never thought Batman would be boring, but like DC, like the comics division, Batman titles are basically propping them up at this point. So what are they going to do? Absolute Batman? Really, really buff Batman? I don't know. I think it's interesting that he's saying what everybody else has felt, at least in terms of the output of Marvel, that there's way too much. What do you think? Leave a comment. We'll talk later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.